Hello everyone, my name is Rios, and today I'm going to present the research work called Professional Habitus Insight from Experienced Teachers in Relation to Teaching Training's Perception. This research is in progress under the collaboration of Otoniel Serrano de Santiago, PhD candidate and responsible for the degree program, Alisson Vizcaíno López, and I, Rios Galván, currently students of the last semester of the degree in Foreign Languages of the Universidad Autónoma de Zacatecas. Contextualization. Learning foreign languages has extended worldwide due to globalization, resulting in a great number of good and bad teaching practices within the classroom. It is believed that most of the learning problems in students are due to the practices that experienced teachers transmit to novel educators. Teacher trainees are educated towards new paradigms and especially the competency approach. However, there are still practices that have not been modified by the teachers. Professional Habitus describes that teaching performance is an interiorized knowledge, and once novel teachers start working with experienced ones, they start adopting their teaching practices. Our problem statement is that education system lacks of a very important aspect, which is the enhancement of the teacher's practice inside the classroom. Problems when teaching languages are still present, and students are not reaching the expected outcomes. Teachers need to avoid negative reproduction practices in order to enhance the educational system. This research attempts to help teachers to enhance teaching processes, which in turn will help the educational system based on self-awareness and promoting teachers to make positive changes in their practices, influencing in a reproduction of positive practices inside the classroom. Our general objective is to analyze experienced teachers' negative practice in relation to novel teachers' perception. On the quantitative side, we will examine teacher training's perceptions towards experienced teachers, and on the qualitative side, we will describe negative experience of the teachers while they were ESL students. Our hypothesis is that experienced teachers reproduce teaching practices they took part as ESL students. On our previous studies, we divided in three main topics, which are the teaching competences, the social reproduction theory, and the teaching learning processes. Previous results studies. According to some authors, teacher training should ensure that students' teachers are exposed to positive inclusive experience and equipped with relevant pedagogical skills. According to Palu, personal characteristics appear to be good predictor of teacher competences. And according to Guerra, the teacher tends to teach without considering students' learning and outcomes, which affects directly the educational system.
All right, so now we can start talking about competencies. In his work, Aspects of Theory of Syntax, Noam Chomsky states competencies as the capacity and disposition for performance. By this, he means that competencies are the set of social behaviors that allow someone to develop a task. Competencies are relevant to our work because we are talking about the characteristics that a teacher must have in order to promote learning in the classroom. So, teaching competencies, we will start with Philippe Pernoud and these 6 main points of his work. The first one, manage the progression of learning, refers to how we can adjust the level of the content in order for it to suit the students, and also how we can evaluate correctly. The second one, organize and encourage learning situations is a part of this process that is developed in the planning part. Conceive and promote the evolution of differentiation devices refers to how we must involve all students, no matter the specific characteristics that each of them have. Involve students in their learning and work. It's to inspire the desire of learning in the students, to motivate them. Teamwork, and finally, the use of new technologies to help with better administration, for example, in the part of grading students. We have another author called Zabalza, and he has two principal ideas related to this topic, which are planning the teaching and learning process, and this refers to the capacity to design a course, considering the different things such as the type of school we are teaching in, the age of the students, the content that we want to teach, etc. Next point refers to how we must make use of the language in a correct way and in a coherent way in order to avoid misunderstandings, but also how we can play with our voices, for example, with intonation and with volume, in order to catch the students' attention in specific parts of the class. Then Diaz Barriga says that competencies can be seen in unprecedented situations that the teacher must address to promote learning. So in this case, he has three main concepts, which are information, ability, and situation. All of this related in an unexpected situation. So with the things that we know, how do we react at a certain point in time where we have a complex task in teaching? Then with the reproduction theory by Pierre Bourdieu, he basically has this concept of generative schemes, which refer to how our social position in most of the cases determines our practices, the things that we do, the way we think, the way we perceive the world. And then after this forms the habitus, which basically means that there exists a reproduction of social structures and systems. And at the end of the day, we are basically talking about patterns, the reproduction of patterns from people that belong to a specific group. It may be assumed that every individual owes the type of schooling he has received a set of basic, deeply interiorized, mastered patterns.
Well, in the same venue, we have second language acquisition as a bedrock for this paper. And well, regarding Krashen's theory, he established 5 hypotheses regarding second language acquisition. The first one has to do with the way we acquire rules. This specifically, we do this in a specific order. So there's a predictable order. We should learn another language or a second language. In this sense, we have monitor. Monitor hypothesis. It has to do with using both our conscious and unconscious knowledge of language. The third one, input, has to do with the formal instruction. The monitor is conscious of what he's learning. And an affective filter hypothesis has to do with learning by means of practice and immersion. It is better to learn this way, a language. And finally, we have the natural order hypothesis, and this refers to a mental block caused by affective factors which prevent input reaching the language acquisition device. In the same sense, we have Brown, and he has different viewpoints about language acquisition. He states that they vary according to the school of thought. 3 of them have prevailed, and the first one is the structural linguistics. This one refers to conditioning learners to make the right connection between the stimuli and the desired response. This can be observed whenever drilling in the classroom. The second one has to do with the transformational generative linguistics. This takes into consideration meaning and thought, and these are involved, and they consider humans are born with the ability to learn a language. Then we have the cognitivism constructivism one, and this takes into account different paradigms and are involved. Uh, it's divided in two. The first one will be the cognitive constructivism, and this one emphasizes the role of the learners in constructing his or her own representation of reality, while the social constructivism emphasizes the importance of social interaction and cooperative learning in constructing the cognitive and emotional images of reality. Then we have the affective factors in second language acquisition. We have that affectivity begins with receiving. We have responding, that this is voluntary without coercion. And we have valuing, this is the conviction, that it's placing worth on a thing or in the learning process. And we have the organization of values within the system. This means to determine the interrelationships and establish hierarchy. And finally, we have the value system, where individuals become characterized by and understand themselves in terms of their value system. Some of the specific affective factors that we have in second language acquisition are set by Brown, and these are self-esteem, willingness to communicate, inhibition, risk-taking, anxiety. We have empathy, extroversion, and introversion. Well, and finally, we have three different types of motivation according to Brown. We have the behavioristic. This is the anticipation of reward, the desire to receive positive reinforcement. And in this kind of motivation, external forces are or take control of second language acquisition. On the other hand, we have the cognitive. This kind of motivation is driven by basic human needs, and there's a degree of effort expended. In this, the individual focuses in control. The individual is his force. That these are individual; they don't depend on no one else. And finally, we have the constructivism. And this kind of motivation takes into account social context, community, social status, security of a group, and the interactive forces are in control. Um, well, this will be it for the theoretical framework section. Now, regarding the methodological proposal, this is research that is in progress, and we have had a little bit of a setback due to the pandemic we're living right now, but this is how it is organized and planned. Well, the first thing is that it's a mixed research. We have both conceptual phases. Then we have the qualitative and quantitative instrument development. Then after that, we will have the categorization on the qualitative side, and we will have descriptive and inferential statistics on the quantitative side. Finally, we will have the discussion on both, and we will have this meta inferences regarding both, of the approaches regarding research. Who are the participants of this story, or who will be the participants of this story? Well, the first ones will be foreign languages bachelor teachers at Universidad Autónoma de Zacatecas, and the other ones will be the trainees from teaching algorithm specialty. And there's where we're going to interact, with results. They're going to there will be a contrast between these results. This is planned to be, as I told you, a mixed design. So we will have the qualitative part. This is going to be an interview, and it has to do with the phenomenological design. This means that we will focus on commonly of a lived experience within a particular group. And well, the technique will be a semi-structured interview. On the quantitative side, we will have a survey, and a survey helps us to, well, reveal trends, attitudes, or opinions, according to Creswell and Plano. And well, the technique for this one will be a Likert scale survey. Then, how do we plan to analyze this data, this information? Well, on the qualitative side, we will do this by means of categorization. So that means that we're going to take into account all the information that we receive, that will be the input, and we will divide in categories regarding the teaching learning processes of ESL. And the quantitative information will be descriptive and inferential statistics. Well, by way of conclusion, okay, this include, okay, we're not close to conclusions yet, but we have already figured out our intent of study, the importance, the previous studies, the theoretical framework, methodology proposal, and right now the expert instrument validation is in progress. So, well, we hope in the future we can continue with this research, finish it, and be able to present the general results. Okay, and these are some of our references. Okay, we have Berdue, we have Brown, Creswell, Diaz-Barriga, we have Hernandez, Krashen, Mengot, Moraine, Renaud, Below, Wera, and Sabalza. Okay, and we really appreciate this opportunity to be with you. We thank el Foro de Estudios de las Lenguas 2020, held by Universidad de Quintana Roo, and we appreciate our home institution and the program we are part of. This is at Universidad Autónoma de Zacatecas, and our program is Licenciatura en Lenguas Extranjeras.